Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before we get going, I wanted to encourage everybody to go. Sorry, my door just opened. 1 second. I wanted to encourage everybody to go listen to John Deaton's Spaces. Just like you, as I've said, I own, well, I'll tell you because I think I gave John the authority to tell you. I own, not low, I own 6 figures on the Link2 platform. When I said I bought things on the Link2 platform, I did. And so I gave John the okay to mention that in his Spaces because it's true. Always has been true. In fact, everything I've ever said in promoting Link2 was true. There's not any way on planet Earth that I could know that down the road, because just as the current Link2 CEO said on stage at XRP Las Vegas, Link2 was not a scam. Anybody out there saying that Link2 was just a scam from the word go, that's a lie. He said it himself on stage. It wasn't. We were actually investing in SPVs and all that stuff. Now, the water's about as muddy as it can get now, but the one thing John said in his thing that is important, because all I care about is the investors and me as an investor too, because that's what matters. We invested we made good investments is what we did, and we invested in things that most of which I believe will appreciate. I own a lot of Uphold. I own Ripple shares. I own Circle shares and a couple others. But and yeah, we should get the appreciation of those assets. That's kind of where I stand. But since I'm under NDA, I can't like join any fight or whatever, and I can't like comment beyond the facts like those. And that's just the place I'm in. There's nothing I can do about that. But the fact of the matter is, and there's another important fact to get out of this whole thing. Doesn't matter what you promote. Doesn't matter what company you promote. Because you're promoting a company does not mean that you could possibly know that some rogue employee or rogue executive behind the scenes was doing something nefarious. You couldn't know unless you were involved behind the scenes and had access to what was going on. And in Link2's case, of course I didn't. And so you got a lot of people out here that are trying to, I'll tell you something interesting, and it's important. Long time ago, I've had people, and I could name names too, I've had people trying to take me out for years. And what they do is they just go from one thing to the next to try anything they think can hurt me, and they run with it, and they'll spend the whole weekend talking bad about me. And you'll notice I never talk bad about any of these people. Never name people by name and talk bad about them, ever. Because I'm not that way. But in this whole Link2 thing, a curious thing happened on my end. I don't see any of these nasty people commenting. You know why? Because I blocked them 2 and 3 years ago, because for them, it's not about Link2. They'll act like it is. It's not about Link2 for them. What it's about is any kind of way that they think they can hurt me because they got either an envy problem or a this or a that. But again, all I care about is the Link2 investors, because I invested right there with you. I am invested right there with you. I don't just want to get my money back. I want appreciation on my assets because we all deserve it. And that's my stance. But other than that, I can't get into the ins and outs of what I think about this or that. I have to kind of keep it surface. Okay, moving along. And when I say people attacking me, I'm not talking about legitimately concerned linked to investors who have real questions. I'm just talking about the people who are just making these blanket statements. Oh, you're a scammer. That's just lies. And they know it's lies. Most of them know it's lies. But I've never scammed anybody in my life. There's nobody that's more transparent than myself and Brad Combs about telling you sponsors. I know many influencers that don't even tell you they've got sponsors when they do or when they're making money. We've gone out of our way to do everything by the book every step of the way. But that doesn't mean that we have a crystal ball that tells us what some rogue executive is or is not doing behind the scenes. I mean, I'm not psychic, okay? So, leaving that behind, here, this is the Swiftics that bought Caleb and Brown, and they were doing their announcement here. And Zach Rector did a very interesting thing. There's been a lot of misinformation, in my opinion, intentional misinformation about Caleb and Brown. He clears it up here. He says, just got off the phone with Caleb and Brown. I have nothing but good news to report. Swiftix has acquired Caleb and Brown for $66 million USD, but it's business as usual at Caleb and Brown. Nothing will change from the platform or user experience standpoint. The exchange that acquired them is the largest exchange in Australia and was looking to expand the U.S. They were very impressed with Caleb and Brown's brokerage model. That is why they made this acquisition. They will not close any accounts. They're still taking on new clients. No change in fees. Insurance through Fireblocks remains. Bankruptcy remote protection remains. They will remain their own separate entity from a client standpoint, and it will be exactly the same as before. It will be as if nothing has changed. From a client perspective, Caleb and Brown has a straightforward business, and that is why I like using them. Spot trading, transparent fees, free institutional custody with insurance and bankruptcy remote protection. Let me know if you have any questions. This guy says he doesn't trust an Australian company, and then Jim Bazzani from Caleb and Brown says, hey, while we're headquartered in Australia, our U.S. clients fall under our Caleb and Brown U.S. LLC. Many of our employees work and are from the U.S., and we're about to open an office in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. If you want to open a Caleb and Brown account, that's where I keep some of my XRP. It's XRPWealth589.com. That forwards you to the page on Caleb and Brown. Then we've got this, a 220 XRP, so things are kind of still boring. Here's an interesting clip from the Modern Investor.
Number 3, this shouldn't be controversial. It's going to be XRP. I know a lot of people love to hate on it. They want to say all these different things. The company behind XRP is called Ripple. They are currently the most successful cryptocurrency coin company. So I'm not talking about Coinbase. I'm not talking about MicroStrategy. I'm talking about that standing behind a particular coin who said that they were going to have partnerships, and they actually have them. The barrier to entry for this coin is nearly non-existent. The coin's price is still very low comparative to where a lot of analysts believe that it's going to go, especially if you start hearing the 10, 15, 20, 30, and I dare say $100 range. They are partnered. Ripple, the company, is partnered with a dozen central banks, like literal central banks on this planet, who are using this coin, who are going to be using this coin, who have said out loud that they're going to be using it. You can Google it. Type in Ripple banks, Ripple central banks. You'll see a list. You will see articles. It's all over the place. These are currently the safest coins to put your money into. Besides that, you will have 2 other ones, which are going to also be controversial, but they should not be. And they are Litecoin and they are
Okay, we don't need to hear about that. SEC's approved Grayscale's conversion of its digital large cap fund into a spot crypto ETF. ETF will offer exposure to, there's XRP, tracking the CoinDesk 5. A lot on these ETFs. This is the Bloomberg guy, ETF guy right here.
Yeah, I believe it crosses the line tomorrow. Should we be looking at IBIT levels here? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to be the level of a success that IBIT saw. I mean, IBIT's over $70 billion in assets right now, and it's just a year and a half old. This is not going to be that. Though I do think this is going to be a successful category. Solana ETFs are likely to be successful. This product isn't the simplest, easiest way of getting exposure, but it is a way to get exposure earlier than any of their competitors for Rex Osprey. So that's a big win for them. And it just shows the SEC is moving forward towards this direction of allowing staking exposure, allowing exposure to these other digital assets, which is something that us and BI have been saying is going to happen in the second half of this year, basically since the start of this year. So it's things are moving in the right direction as far as we're concerned.
James, one thing that stuck out to me with this ETF was the expense ratio, 75 basis points. Seems pretty high. I mean, does that relate to this being a more difficult ETF to manage with the staking and whatnot?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Part of it is also they're first, and the way that they're getting out first is by using a very unique regulatory and legal workarounds, essentially, to get this through. They're using a Cayman subsidiary. The fund is going to be structured as a C corporation, which is pretty rare in the ETF world, but it does happen mostly for MLP ETFs. It's not going to hold solely spot Solana. It's also going to hold at least 40% in other ETFs listed in places like Canada and Europe. So it's very unique. It's going to be first. And also, unlike the Bitcoin ETFs that we talked about before, those were strict, pure exposure to spot Bitcoin or spot exposure to Ethereum.
All right, and then we've got the same guy from Bloomberg. He says, altcoin ETF summer, Tuttle has filed an amendment to change the effective date of a bunch of 2x crypto meme ETFs July 16th. Does this mean they'll launch typically effective dates? And one of them is the 2x long XRP daily. Interesting summer. And then this is the other ETF guy. ETF. Biggest news from today, in my opinion, XRP will now be accessible to everyday investors via Grayscale digital large cap ETF after nearly 5 years of SEC versus Ripple litigation. And now anyone will be able to easily access XRP in SEC regulated investment vehicle. Full circle moment. I like that. That sounds like a thumbnail. And then Chinese firm Weebus secures up to $100 million equity line with Ripple Strategy Holdings to accelerate its XRP treasury strategy growth. Jack McDonald from Ripple RLUSD. June monthly independent attestation is live. Market cap reached 440 million. Ripple USD is now reorganized crypto token under DFSA in Dubai. Launched new partner to continue extending utility of RLUSD. And then here's a great clip. Ripple apparently posted a bunch of clips on their YouTube channel.
The core vision I see for the XRP is basically just activating idle XRP via the DeFi utilities on chain. And this is the whole ecosystem or the whole vision that I see for the XRP. So starting with DEXs, with more complicated DEXs like CLMMs, and just with more liquidity pools, and also the money markets like lending, borrowing for XRP, yield protocols where you can earn on your XRPs and earn yields on your XRPs. And other than that, there's also these RWAs, stable coins, and cross-chain bridges where you can move around your XRPs to other chains and other ecosystems in the end. And in the end, it's all about just having XRP more alive and giving it life, and also making it utilized on chain. But apart from that, I envision the XRP to we're in a state where XRP is utilized in all the Web3 ecosystems out there. So imagine that XRP is being utilized in this chain over there, also on the XRP ledger, just all of these DeFi protocols out there, and just maximizing the utility of XRP.
Alrighty, we'll go into the group. DAIXRP.com is the Patreon, or you can click the join button on YouTube under any of my YouTube videos if you want to go into the group. Got a lot more. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we